committee and welcome to your family, and thank you for your willingness to serve again as FDA Commissioner. And I appreciated our conversation of a couple of weeks ago, I think it was now, and just want to say I particularly appreciated your commitment to advancing equity. I think that is a matter of such great importance. I want to follow up first, though. I'm going to try to touch on two or three things. I want to follow up first on a question that Senator Murray brought up, touching on how we can get more rapid COVID-19 testing to the market. You know, as COVID-19 becomes more endemic, affordable, available, and in-home rapid testing is going to be so essential. And the FDA has taken steps to streamline the review process for authorizing COVID-19 tests, including rapid tests. Some policy folks are arguing that we should be reclassifying rapid COVID-19 tests as a public health tool rather than as a medical device, and that this would help to increase supply and reduce prices. So I'm wondering if you could, Dr. Califf, could you, based on your experience, what do you think about this idea? What do you see as the downsides, and what more do you think that we could do to speed up the supply and lower the price of rapid tests at home?
Well, that exact solution, well, first of all, thanks for the question. I think you may not have been here when I mentioned my son Sam back here got a rapid test yesterday because he wasn't feeling too good after his booster shot, and it was negative. So I fully personally appreciate the impact of having availability of rapid tests. But that specific solution, I don't think it solves the problem. It may be one pathway. I'd have to study it. But what I do know, I started my career evaluating cardiovascular tests. This was in 1978. It was a long time ago. But the principles are the same, and the purpose of the test is really important. A test to screen for a disease, a test to diagnose a disease, a test to determine the prognosis, what's the likely outcome. The operating characteristics that you measure are different, and we do need to have a system, and I know Senator Burr and others are working on this. Now, we need to have a system that takes these different purposes into account. Just like with a drug may have a use in several different indications, and the dose may even be different in different indications. So we got to have a flexible system that takes these things into account, and an evidence generation system that makes sure that when we're using it for one purpose or another, we actually understand what the test result means.
So if you're confirmed as FDA Commissioner, will you commit to reviewing the current process for authorizing tests and take steps to streamline this process, and make sure you'll let us know if there are things that we need to be doing here at the committee to support that effort?
Yes. I would very much look forward to working with you on that. It would actually get back to where I started my career, so I'd find it in a nerdy sort of way pretty exciting.
Thank you. That's good. Dr. Califf, while the FDA doesn't set the price of prescription drugs, the FDA has significant power to bring more low-cost generics and biosimilars to market. This has been a big priority of mine. In fact, the first bill that I introduced when I came to the Senate is a bill to prevent parking of, the parking situation that we have. In fact, this is a bipartisan bill that I have with Senator Braun, and it would prevent generic manufacturers and name brand manufacturers from gaming the system and help to streamline getting that generic drug approvals done. Could you talk a little bit about how you would use the tools at your disposal at the FDA to prevent anti-competitive behavior like parking in the prescription drug market?
I think I've already mentioned in 2016 we had a long list of ways that pharmaceutical companies could extend the patents or otherwise get around the intended move to generic status after an appropriate period of patent exclusivity. And I think there's no other way than making a list, and it's a little bit like whack-a-mole. You have to, they're really smart people on the other side looking for ways to circumvent the rules. So you got to be on your toes, and then in some cases, FDA has distinct power to make a difference, and in other cases, it would involve something that we would need from Congress to help take care of it, as in the case that you mentioned. I'd also mention, I'm very aware in the supply chain issues that we've got to shore up the generic supply chain while we're also reducing the costs, and that's a big issue we need to pay attention to.
Absolutely agree with that. In the interest of time, I'm going to submit for the record my final question, which is around how to address the need to include more pregnant women in clinical trials, and I'll submit that question to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I will just take a quick second and say that is you know, I work very hard on including children in clinical trials, and that's worked. It's getting better and better. Pregnant women is a big frontier. It's a very high-risk situation. Everybody, you know, is concerned. But if we don't do the studies, we end up with, like my daughter, who I mentioned had congenital heart disease. I have a granddaughter sitting back here too. But you know, when you have a chronic disease, you need to take medicine for it, even if you're pregnant. We have almost no studies that address those issues. So I would really look forward to working with you on that issue.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Collins.
Doctor, I was very pleased to